This one's going to divide audiences, right? Because we're talking about to have targets or not to have targets.
In this episode, the Revenue Leaders team debates one of the most controversial topics in sales management, and they don't agree.
I've exceeded my target, and then next year my target was increased and my commission was reduced, right?
Because you're a victim of your own success in a lot of these roles.
I had that happen so many times.
Give me a blueprint any day. I don't want a benchmark of achieve this. I don't want it because I want to keep going.
If you're building a sales team and are trying to figure out how to drive performance without burning people out, this conversation is for you. Welcome to the Revenue Leaders podcast.
This one's going to divide audiences, right? Yeah. Because we're talking about, to have targets or not to have targets. And we're not saying to wipe targets completely. We're like, instead of giving someone, Regan, you need to hit 5 mil revenue this year as your target, that we give you a blueprint and it's open, right? I first came across this as a LinkedIn post and there was a shitload of comments on there, right? Arguing for and against. But for people that have held targets, all their lives, I'd love to hear, your feedback on this, to have a target or not to have a target.
As a founder, I don't have a target. Just sit back, relax, make other people do the work.
Bullshit.
But how do you work in sales without a target?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the argument was, and I'm just reading some notes here, it's about like having
Who posted it?
I'm not going to unveil their name.
Names. This is not
because I'm not going to name their name because I don't actually have it in my notes, mate. So you're calling me out here, bro. It was probably about 4 months ago.
Yeah, it was a while back.
But they were talking about having a personal success blueprint, which sounds, Louis is rolling his eyes if you're listening to this. So it does sound a bit fluffy and wanky here.
Soft parenting.
We sound like, okay, so I'm getting the tiger parents on the right-hand side. Yeah, must do this now. Louis, look, I actually don't know how it would work.
How does it work? Well, so you hire a person, you say, look, you're free to just do whatever you want, wear pants to work, don't wear pants to work, like there's no structure.
There's structure, there's a blueprint, you're given targets, but you're not actually held accountable to a number. Is what I believe, how this works.
And then so what happens when at the end of the year, if you think about a SMART goal format, it's got to be specific and measurable and attainable, right?
Yes.
So I think there's two parts to this. I get it, not setting unrealistic, but not having a target. Did the post say no target or no activity?
They had a target, right? So it's like, Louis, you need to...
Because you got to have something, right?
Yeah, look, it was more of they treat it as a team. So
a team-based target.
Like a team-based target.
Yeah, but what if, like, give an example, right? In our business, I sell 90% of the revenue because fucking Dave can't sell.
Someone's got to build a product, dude.
So how does that work? How do we go team-based target? Okay, I do all the work.
I don't like team-based targets, right, to be honest with you.
So how come you don't
I just did like a bit of a, review with some of our customers and they had team-based targets.
Folks, this is David saying... I can't sell.
No. I just said I don't like team-based, but
okay.
I believe
I take that back.
Can you let me talk? I believe you can hide behind a team-based target, right? Because you could have someone that's really good or someone's got some clients. I can cruise you because I know he's going to close it. I personally like having a target. Like my personal demeanor is I like a competition and I like to, know that I've got something to strive for and achieve it. So like for us in Coach Pilot, doesn't matter what your role is, everyone's going to have a target of sorts, right? Whether it be a revenue target, a retention target, even custom success. It's how is the NPS score. That's a number, right?
Yeah,
like
I think
it's measurable.
I'm a fan of that, right? Like if you're a team-based, every person needs to contribute to the overall objective of the team. But I'm challenged by that concept of not having a target. I can only talk about in sales because I spent my whole career in a sales and marketing role. But I just struggle to sort of maybe I'm not using a growth mindset here, but how do I then drive a team to achieve a performance metric? Because somebody has a number they're accountable.
Yeah, look, the post was coming back to me, right? So it's very similar to this new sort of trend that's coming in by giving staff unlimited leave. Right? Like, have you seen that? Like, there's been a few companies that give unlimited leave.
PTO and stuff.
And the assumption and the belief there is that if I give you unlimited leave, you're going to take less leave and you're going to work harder because you have the ability to take unlimited leave. So the assumption of no target is that because you don't have a ceiling, they're going to attract people who are hungrier and break through a perceived, my target is 5 mil. Once I hit 5 mil, I'm then going to cruise you on there and not go
I get it.
crazy.
No.
I'm going to hit 10 mil because I have no ceiling. I have no target.
Yeah.
Right? So there's the counter argument there is that, if I gave you a target, Louis, of 5 mil for the quarter, you hit your 5 mil, there's 3 weeks left. Argument would be that you might just cruise you on and then start to build out next quarter's target because, and sandbag is like a term used in the industry where you're reserving deals from closing to the next quarter so you can ensure you hit next quarter's target versus having no ceiling and all of a sudden you close 7 mil this quarter and then you might close 4 the next.
But I think, there's a lot of variables there, right? There's a lot of variables there. I don't know. I think maybe this should show my age, but I think targets are crucial in building a sales team, in managing a sales team. As being an individual contributor, I've always needed a target to work towards. Yes, have I worked in businesses where the remuneration plan didn't allow me to sort of make more money if I exceeded? And I've been on the receiving end. I've exceeded my target, and then next year my target was increased and my commission was reduced. Right?
Because you're a victim of your own success in a lot of these roles.
I had that happen so many times.
Yeah.
And so, but for me, like that's a different discussion. That's making sure our remuneration structure can incentivize people to exceed target.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. So this is like I see both sides, and like I'm such a goal-oriented person that I love a KPI. But I do believe in Parkinson's law, right? So it's like, if you set half an hour for a meeting or an hour for a meeting, that meeting goes for that amount of time. I don't want a benchmark of like achieve this. Like, sorry, but screw that. I don't want it because I want to keep going.
Yeah.
Like I want to make sure that I can achieve as much as humanly possible, which to me leans me into like, yes, have KPIs to get, people to a degree. But for someone like me, give me a blueprint any day to be like, you can keep achieving and you can be rewarded for it because if hit a ceiling mentally, yes, people do coast and you mentally take a step back. So
here's a question for you both. Is there a middle ground, right? Is there a world in sales where we can say, a pass or the minimum barrier is, like I'm just making up numbers, for the year is a 3 mil, right? That's a pass. That allows you to keep your job type of thing, right? But there's no ceiling to it.
Well, I mean, every sort of structure has a
I think
gate.
there's some out there that do that. They've got the payback. Like you need to, before commission kicks in, you need to earn X deals to pay your salary back.
Yeah.
Some businesses have that. But I think what you're talking about, and again, I look at this, I look at it more strategically, right? I'm going to go, hey, when I set targets, and we're doing this right now, planning, there's a couple of key things. We say, right, what is the market appetite? So if you're looking at your market, you're saying how many customers exist in the market that we can possibly serve. All right, TAM, whatever, but you're saying there's a portion of market that we can capture in this period of time. You've got to do some assumptions. What's our average close period, right? A rep, how much time does it take for him to close a deal? You got to factor that in and then go, right, if that takes X, these are the admin time. Hence why you need Coach Pilot because it reduces admin time. Right, if you think about all those things, that's why the assembly line model came quite popular. SDRs do parts of the role. But what you functionally need to do is go, what time can a person commit in a business to X tasks that will deliver X results? Then you determine, great, based on that, we believe this person can close 20 deals. Average deal is X. This should be the number. There has to be a form of science in determining the person's number. Then if that person doesn't hit that number, we talk about unrealistic targets, we've got to assess, is it because time took longer? Were we too aggressive in the close period?
What's the market saying?
There's a whole bunch of variables, right? But
does it bring up a lot of arguments?
Yeah.
Like if you don't have a target?
Well, you've got to have, you need data to kind of come up with this number. If you don't have it, you hypothesize, go through the process, then you get real data and you then readjust.
Is it just bullshit? Like, is it?
No, we've done this.
Not from that. When I mean bullshit, like, is it bullshit in relation that, what this individual was saying is more of a, clickbaity, try and recruit more salespeople, because the company has a target. Like, the CEO is going to have a target for the company needs to hit. So whether he bestows that target onto the sales team, there's a number that they need to hit in order to keep the company afloat.
Yeah, that's why I think, some of these posts sound great in theory. Like, let's not have a target. Let's have, this blueprint and everybody's fucking singing Kumbaya it'll magically appear. But unfortunately,
it's good when it works, right? If it does work.
Yeah.
And then what happens with that? Yeah.
But how in principle, like, or that sounds good in theory, but from an execution perspective, how are you modeling your business and your sales division to capture the opportunity market if there's no clear guidance, structure, targets to achieve that? That's for me, that's where I'm challenged.
So, Reg, you've lived in enterprise, for the last decade. Like, would this have any chance of working in relation to the no target scenario?
Pardon the interruption. I'm Luigi, one of the co-hosts here at Revenue Leaders. You'll notice we don't run sponsors or ads on Revenue Leaders.
This show is free. Our goal is to help you grow revenue and build your sales system that you can rely on. We do have a favour to ask though.
If this episode gives you one clear idea that you can use, do these two things. First, share it with one person, a founder, a revenue leader, or a rep who wants to grow their business. Just one. That's how the show grows.
Second, grab free access to our vault over at coachpilot.com/vault. Inside, you'll get the frameworks, templates, and short courses we use with clients to help them scale pipeline and increase win rates.
So the deal is simple. If you get value, share the episode with one person and go to coachpilot.com/vault to get the tools to put this into action. All right, let's get back to it. Like, going to Louis' point though, around the having those KPIs, I think it's also the way it's delivered. So if we actually think a bit about this as like the blueprint is KPIs, but it actually gives an overlay that provides more psychological safety to the team. More psychologically safe teams are actually higher performing teams. So quite frankly, if I'm going to I've been a seller and a leader in this position, if I can provide psychological safety for my team, I know for a fact that they're going to deliver more, work harder, be able to come to me when they make mistakes and know that they've got an idea on
maybe
how to solve them. Maybe that
was the intent of that.
Yeah. So I'm completely, yes, I'm on board with Louis. I believe in a KPI. I believe in a target. I don't want a ceiling and I don't want a floor because I want to see how much I can absolutely achieve. But I do want to make sure that as a leader, I am creating the most psychologically safe environment for my team. So if that means not these unrealistic expectations, but a blueprint to say we're actually going to run this, not as this all right, January 2026, the year of the horse, supposed to be amazing, man. But what's actually happening in April? Don't know if that's the case. So you have to actually be able to say, I think KPIs, I would like KPIs on a more fluid basis of quarterly, right? Yes, we have a yearly target, but let's evolve because there's certain parts that you shouldn't, going to even, being a founder of a startup as a SaaS company, you cannot plan, I'm going to deliver something in 24 months. The world is moving so much faster. I think that a blueprint actually makes you have the ability to pivot and to be able to grow as a better, more dynamic company. Look at Harvey AI, right? How they grew so fast because of the structure that they had, the messaging that they had, but they also gave the opportunity to pivot.
Yeah, I agree with you there, but I think, and there are definitely some KPIs.
I'm amazed you were just listening.
There's some KPIs there that you can absolutely, I've always been challenged by 3 to 5 times pipeline coverage, right? For example, why have a massive pipeline if you can't convert it? Yeah, and often deals get put in there to inflate your pipeline just because they're measured and on that, right? Call cycles for businesses that are dealing with a set customer base, they have to visit them, etc. A lot of those times, the call cycles aren't linked to anything else. It's you need to see X amount of customers. So they do visits for the sake of visits, right?
Yeah.
Versus making sure there's a valid business reason. It's aligning to the account plan. Like for me, that's where I think you can remove a lot of those KPIs. Like don't just set activity targets
For the sake
of it. You could remove that and go, well, this is the environment you need to play in, right? And again, I'm a big believer, like you might say you need to have this many demos and you need to have this many proposals. As a rep, I'm like, well, I know, and my conversion from proposal to close one sits between 70 and 80%. For me, I don't need a target of X proposals because I'm winning more proposals, right?
Yeah, but I think that's less KPI and more about going back to previous episodes around system and the practices to do really wonderful work. That to me is like, something completely different. The KPI of you need to be on the phone 90% of the time, great. I can just dial my own like mobile number and go chuff off downstairs to the coffee shop. Like I think that those sort of things and, like there's sayings around this that you want to find the easiest way to get around something, give it to the laziest person. The laziest person will actually find a way to achieve that like KPI or goal, even if the end goal of revenue is down.
It's such a interesting topic, right? Because it's often you build out these scenarios because of the lowest sort of common denominator, and people are afraid of that pressure or can't deal with the pressure, especially in sales. Just sales is a high pressure role. You're living by quarter.
Huge likelihood of burnout.
Burnout, that's right. Look, I believe like we all pressure, right? The right amount. Pressure makes diamonds. You heard the saying. I had an initial belief when I first started out in my career of, building businesses that I wanted to build a family, and then I've quickly sort of killed that notion and go, I wanted to be
you killed your family?
Well, not literally. Almost left them in Japan.
One's still there.
2 weeks in Japan was a long time.
You went from 3 kids to 2 kids.
Going to that Disneyland, Jesus. But moving to more a high performing team.
Yeah,
right? I want a high performing team. A players. I want people to. And sometimes when the team grows, you need to trade a teammate because they no longer fit for where the business is going. And each one of those players in the team has a role to play and has KPIs. You look at any sporting team now, they are numbers driven like crazy, right? Not to take away from the creativeness of an individual, but numbers, if you can measure it, you can track against it and you can improve it and you can see if something's wrong.
But you also don't have to wait to the end of a financial year to pivot.
That's right.
As well, yeah.
That's right. It's about being, having that level of flexibility to understand, read through the data, see a pattern and make a change when you need to.
So is this where it's almost a bit of a mixture of both, like, have the KPIs, but also let's have a bit of a blueprint to create some safety for our team, but then also to be able to have the ability to pivot?
Definitely. I definitely want the team, might sound like a Gestapo, but you definitely want the team to feel safe that they can perform and that they're allowed to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Because,
100%.
we all do. Doesn't matter what we do in this business, we all make mistakes.
We work with Louis.
And there's a lot of mistakes that are there. But we want to, create a safe zone where mistakes are okay, so long as you're not making the same mistake over and over again, right?
Yeah.
Because then there's something wrong. But you want to make them feel, to take a chance, because if you don't and you stay in that safe zone, no real growth comes from that. So I guess the summary is that KPIs are still going to rule the day. You're still going to have that level of, flexibility in there that you want to embed into the team. And the notion of remove targets is a long way away. It's a bit fluffy, maybe for, I don't know what. No company I'll probably ever be involved with will have that.
I would actually love to come back to this episode and do it again in like 12 months' time.
Yeah, when we're looking at Louis' KPIs.
Performance review.